I'm going to be answering the questions for the How Difficult Can This Be? The FAT City Workshop. Number 1, after watching this video, I had a lot of mixed emotions. At first, I was kind of disturbed by Mr. Lavoie's approach towards the workshop. From an outsider's point of view, it seems like he was going super fast and being over the top with the students. After viewing the video in its entirety, I realized that there was a method to his madness. The video made me truly see the struggles that students with learning disabilities really go through. On that note, it also shows the teacher's aspects of teaching and strategies that can be used. The name of the workshop is the acronym FAT, which stands for Frustration, Anxiety, and Tension. This simulation workshop demonstrates these 3 words to the core. This video also incorporates a diverse group of individuals, some of whom were actual students with learning disabilities and instructors in special education. Number 2, Mr. Lavoie is the director of the outreach program. He mentions that when speaking about learning disabled children, we do not talk about what the child is, but we talk rather about what he or she is not. In other words, it is a definition of exclusion. He gives the example of 5 children that are not functioning in the classroom. He then states to take away the child who's intellectually disabled or who's mentally impaired, the child who has a primary emotional disturbance, and finally, to take away the child who's not had the opportunity to learn and take away the child who has some learning styles deficiencies, which could be deafness or blindness, was his example. The child that remains is the learning disabled child because he or she does not have any of the aforementioned disabilities, because he or she is not functioning in school and the modalities are intact with appropriate learning opportunities in school. He also says that one of the most common misconceptions about learning disabilities is that it is a school problem, when in actuality it affects every waking moment of the child's day. Number 3, the audience of the FAT workshop, there was a diverse group of individuals. This ranged from a social worker, a psychologist, a recreational therapist, a regular and special education teacher. Most importantly, parents, teachers, and friends of learning disabled children that can express the frustration, anxiety, and tension that those children experience in school every day. I think that this is important because some of these individuals are at the forefront of those students' daily lives. The parents and friends of students with learning disabilities have insight that can be helpful and resourceful towards in-class instruction. By having students and teachers together, it will allow for both parties to see the difficulties each opposing side faces. Number 4, there were several things or situations that surprised me about this simulation. There are things that the teachers should never do to pressure students. The video spoke to how sarcasm resorts to the act of creating a victim. Thus, anxiety promotes performance. Another thing that surprised me is the way the students with learning disabilities interpret the pace of class, as well as the concept of processing, which means that students with learning disabilities process twice as much information as their peers do because they process the question and the answer. So the class may seem going at a faster pace than normal when it's really in reality going at a normal pace. Number 5, I learned about distractibility versus attention span. According to the video, the child with no attention span pays attention to nothing. The child who's distractible pays attention to everything, meaning that the learning disabled child and he or she can't focus anything out. They have a wandering mind and their mentality is all over the place. I also learned that students with learning disabilities do not like surprises and don't take risks when it comes to volunteering in class. I found out that motivation is a misunderstood concept in education. Motivation allows us to do what we already are capable of doing, just in better fashion. Number 6, I personally enjoyed the section of auditory and visual capabilities. The class in the video was struggling to read distorted imagery of a story. Mr. Lavoie explained that students with learning disabilities have to hear something, for example, a story out loud first for it to make sense to them. The aforementioned strategy is an example of an auditory modality. I personally am a visual learner, but incorporating this strategy can help to further comprehend readings in those types of situations. Number 7, the strategies that Mr. Lavoie taught us in the workshop can reach a wide range of learners. I believe that it also goes back to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. We all learn differently and have ways that may work for us, but not others. So I think that the strategies he demonstrated could also help for emergent bilingual students. Number 8, well, since not all disabilities are visible, I would take measures to properly identify students who need help. After this process, I would try and research possible strategies to help reach my diverse learners. I think I would add some learning modalities to the workshop. These would consist of some kinesthetic and tactile modalities that would promote more different learning styles.